Good morning friends, I am Ashish Agarwal from team NGOenabler, and today's video I will discuss on another important form that all NGOs should know about, that is Form 10. I will not only handhold you in filling the form on the income tax portal but will also provide you with the complete information on the same. So before I move on to the form, let me tell you when Form 10 is required to be filed by the organization. If you remember my last video, I discussed that if an organization is unable to spend the minimum 85% amount as laid down in the sections 11 and 12 of the Act, the shortfall amount at the option of the organization shall be considered as deemed to have been applied in that year itself as per clause 2 of explanation to section 11(1) on fulfillment of certain conditions, criteria and how the same can be opted for by electronically filing Form 9A before the due date of furnishing the return of income. In addition to the said option, the charitable organizations have another option of accumulating or set apart the amount by which the application falls short of 85% under section 11 subsection 2 for a period of not more than 5 years. But opting for accumulation under this section requires certain specific conditions to be fulfilled. The amount has to be accumulated or set apart for a specified purpose, and the organization has to furnish a statement in the prescribed manner and in the prescribed form stating such purpose, which is nothing but filing of Form 10 electronically. The amount so accumulated or set apart needs to be kept invested in modes specified under section 11 subsection 5, which I think has already been discussed in one of my earlier videos. And similar to Form 9A, which we discussed in our last video, such Form 2 needs to be filed within the due date prescribed for filing the income tax return specified under section 139 subsection 1. On proper compliance, the amount so accumulated or set apart shall be deemed to be considered as an application of income for the previous year in which such amount has been accumulated. So friends, to summarize, Form 10 has to be filed in case the organization is unable to apply the minimum specified limit of 85% of the total receipts and wish to accumulate or set apart certain funds for a specified purpose and for a longer duration which should not exceed 5 years, unlike Form 9A, where no purpose needs to be specified and can be exercised up to the immediately following financial year or in the year of receipt.
Coming to the form, you will find the form at the same place where Form 10A, Form 10AB and Form 9A was available. Under the tab E-File, where you need to select the option Income Tax Forms and then File Income Tax Forms. Once you click on it, you will find different forms available under the 3 tabs: persons with business or professional income, persons without business or professional income, and persons not dependent on any source of income. So you need to move on to the last tab, and by clicking on it, you will find Form 10. So here is Form 10. Click on File now. You will find that the PAN of the organization, online as the submission mode and original as the type of filing, is already auto-populated. You just need to select assessment year from the drop-down for which the form is being filed. As soon as you click on the assessment year, the tab Continue becomes active for moving ahead. Then click on Let's Get Started to start filling the form. Here you can see that Form 10 is also a very simple and short form divided into three sections: basic information, current statement details, and past statement details. As soon as you get inside the first section, you will find that the name of the principal officer, PAN, and the name of the organization is auto populated. Then you need to select the recipient information. Here you need to select the assessing officer, as it has been specifically mentioned in section 11 subsection 2 that the statement has to be filed before the assessing officer. After selecting the recipient of the statement, complete address is required to be filled, which in our opinion should be the registered or communication address of the organization. So suppose I just fill the address and click on Save. In the next section, you can see the date of resolution is being asked. Now, what is this resolution? Let me tell you. When the management decides to set apart certain funds under section 11 subsection 2, the same should be passed in the meeting of Board of Trustees or the governing body members. The resolution should specify the amount accumulated, the percentage of the total receipts so accumulated, and the specified purpose of the accumulation. All these details are required to be filled in this section, which is then readily available from the minutes or the resolution itself. Click on Add Details, where the purpose, amount, and the period up to which the amount has been accumulated needs to be provided. Remember, as discussed earlier, the period of accumulation under section 11 subsection 2 cannot exceed 5 years. So, the maximum period that can be filled here is 5 years from the end of the financial year for which the accumulation is being done. So, let's fill part B. Suppose the date of resolution the amount that has to be accumulated, percentage of total income, purpose for which the amount has been accumulated has to be very specific in nature. The period for accumulation or setting apart should be ending on 5 years from the end of the assessment year in which the amount is accumulated. So if we are filling it for 31st March 2022, 5 years will end on 31st March 2027. Click on Add, and don't forget to click on Save at the end. Now comes the last section where the details of any past accumulation need to be filled. This means if the organization has opted for such accumulation in past also and some amount is still left to be applied, the complete details of the same needs to be provided. The year in which the amount was accumulated. So suppose I click here yes and click on Add Details. You can find here the year in which the amount was accumulated, the date of filing Form 10 for that earlier year, the amount accumulated, the period for which it was accumulated, amount which has been applied up to the end of the reporting period, that is the year for which this particular form is being filed, you will find that the amount still remaining unutilized from past accumulation will be auto calculated. The section ends with the amount which needs to be considered as income in the current year under section 11 subsection 3. Now what does section 11 subsection 3 says? I will discuss it in my upcoming videos. For the time being, let's assume no non-compliance is there and keep it 0. So let's fill the amount. Suppose in the previous year 21-22, suppose the form was filed on 8th February 21, the amount accumulated was 10,000. The period for which it was accumulated was 5 years. So it will end on 31st March 2026. Amount which has been applied up to the end of the previous year, which means 31st March 2022. Suppose we have applied 5,000 out of the earlier accumulation of 10,000. The amount deemed to be the income under section 11 subsection 3. Let's keep it 0. So click on add. Now comes the question, if the organization has been unable to apply the accumulated amount due to any order of court, etc., then the details is to be provided here. Else you can click on save and proceed. So suppose we click on no and we click on save. So all the 3 sections of the form has been filled. Now to develop more clarity on the amounts to be filled, let me give you some examples. Suppose the total income of the organization is 1 lakh. So it has to apply rupees 85,000, which is 85% of the total income for charitable purposes during the year. But it has been able to apply only rupees 80,000. So it has fallen short by rupees 5,000. So this time we will fill it under section 11 subsection 2. So in the example we just filled, we have already filled 5,000 only. We have filled here 5,000 only, and which is 5% means 5% of 1 lakh. So here we have filled 5%. Taking a bit difficult example, suppose in the previous year the management also opted for option exercised under section 11(1) of rupees 10,000. So if the total income is 1 lakh and you have to apply 85%, which is 85,000, but you have applied 80,000, and that too, out of that 80,000, rupees 10,000 was of the earlier year form 9A, which has to be applied in this year. So your actual application for this year shall be rupees 70,000. So again, you have fallen short by rupees 15,000. This means here you have to fill 15,000 in part B, and the percentage will become 15%. And in the details of accumulation also, you have to change it to 15,000. Click on save. You can see it has changed, and click on save. Taking another example, suppose 1 lakh is the total income and 85,000 has to be applied out of it, but only 50,000 has been applied, and out of that rupees 25,000 was of the previous year's accumulated amount. So your actual application becomes 25,000. So you have actually fallen short by rupees 60,000. So this 25,000 was of your previous year's accumulation under section 11 subsection 2, which you have completely applied this year, and rupees 60,000 you have fallen short. So what you need to do is, you need to go in part B, make it 60,000 and this as 60%. Again, you need to change the amount of accumulation here also to 60,000. Once you click on save, you have to also change the past statement details, where I said you have actually accumulated 25,000 in assessment year 21-22. So this was 25,000, out of which the entire 25,000 was applied. So there is no remaining amount of application. Suppose if you have applied rupees 15,000 this year, then amount remaining for application from the previous year's accumulation was also 10,000. But in the example we have taken, we have applied the entire 25,000. Click on save. So this is how form 10B has to be filled. Once all the three parts are completely filled and green tick can be seen on both, the preview option will get activated and one can check the form by generating the preview. You will find the entire form will be displayed on the screen as filled up by you. After checking the form, you can proceed to e-verify. There, you can either e-verify it through a one-time password which will be sent to the mobile number registered on the portal, and that too only if it is linked with the Aadhaar of such authorized person, or you can also verify the form through the digital signature of the authorized person. Only after the e-verification is done, the form shall be considered to be submitted.
So this was all about Form 10. I hope I have been able to develop clarity now as to when and how the form has to be filed. Remember, the due date for filing the Form 10 is same as that of the income tax return, and if the date for return filing is extended in a particular year, in our opinion, the date for filing Form 10 too should be considered as extended unless specifically excluded in the circular. For further details, keep tuned to our channel, don't forget to subscribe it and put your notifications on, and for any queries, feel free to comment below or contact us through mail. Thank you.